Have you got an example?
By applying those tests, and if it doesn't stand to scrutiny, if it doesn't hold up to this test, you know for sure that Islam is false.
Have you got an example?
So let me ask you,
No, have you got an example?
the name of a religion is what?
Something like flibbity shibbity flip.
So you've already forgotten the name of a religion. So imagine the religion that you think, stop there, 1 second.
I asked you
Imagine the religion.
I asked you a question.
I am going to give my 3 arguments. I've given number 1.
You already gave them.
So on my argument number 2,
You already made them.
you as a heckler needs to understand is this. You don't even remember the name of a religion, and you expect people
It's got a good
to accept it. So now, you've forgotten the name of religion. What are the falsification tests of your religion?
No. Let's not put the cart before the horse. I asked you first of the examples in Islam of falsification.
Look, the reason I'm here on the ladder is precisely for that reason. Since you are interrupting my arguments as I was presenting them, I did say in the beginning that I will take questions when I have given my 3 arguments. But you kept on interrupting. That's why I'm engaging with you.
You've got everything you want.
So now, I'm simply asking you, what are the falsification tests of your religion?
Sir, we've already done this before. It's your move. I asked you first.
So now, as you realize, you haven't got a clue what falsification tests you have for your religion because you have none. So a religion that you're going to propound,
Has your religion got any?
I'm sure I'm loud enough to tell you, and you've heard me, that I was presenting the falsification test, wasn't I?
I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
Right.
Something like flibbly shibbly hubbly.
He started again, he's forgotten.
Get your pencil and pen out, mate.
Right.
Write it down.
Now, number 1 falsification test that is provided in the Quran. The Quran says, this book,
Where?
the Quran that
Where?
Allah has sent
Give the reference, please.
to his
So we can.
slave and servant,
Give,
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
give us the reference, please.
If people are in doubt,
Give us the reference.
if people are in doubt as to what God has revealed to his servant,
Don't say God.
what you have to
There is
do
no God but Allah.
is simply this: produce
Your creed says there
a
is no
chapter
God but Allah. Call
like
him Allah.
unto the Quran.
God. Don't deceive
You
people.
don't think it's possible?
Surah number 2,
Like the Quran.
Surah
Deceive people.
Al-Baqarah,
That's laughable.
chapter 2 of the Quran,
So why are you listening to
which is called,
It's fun. It's fun
my
talking
brother,
Islam.
my brother, please.
It's fun. Talking shit.
Let
with
the-
people in the park.
Let the speaker handle the hecklers. Thank you. These hecklers are not new. They've come here before, and people will see what kind of heckling they do and whether they're successful.
So are these liars are new? Not new.
Chapter number 2 of the Quran, called Surah Al-Baqarah.
They are the liars.
In Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2 of the Quran, God gives a falsification test
I'm going to listen.
which people can apply and falsify the Quran if it was not from God. Amazing. You now have a religion which provides you of how to disprove it if it is false, and how to verify it if it is true. In science, those of you who are involved in science, in research methodologies, would immediately recognize
He's having hands.
falsification tests
Cannot walk and talk.
are important way
And
of establishing our hypothesis,
your religion first.
establishing what we are putting forward as our claim. That's what we do in science. So in the Quran, God, brother, please.
Don't
God,
say God. Say Allah.
God
Say
tells
Allah.
us
There is no
what people have to do.
God but Allah.
وَإِن كُنتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِّمَّا نَزَّلْنَا عَلَى عَبْدِنَا
Don't say God.
نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بصورة من مثله
So you are going against
وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله
against your Quran.
إن كنتم صادقين فإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة أعدت للكافرين. So I recited to you
Not
the ayah of the
Not the
Quran
Baduan language.
in which the falsification
these
test
people
occurs.
don't understand Baduan language.
So the falsification test is this.
And let's talk.
Do you not have any
Do you
sense
have
of...
any sense of talking?
Why don't you say...
Brother,
Do you have any sense of talking?
brother, excuse me,
Do you
brother.
have any sense of talking?
My friend, brother,
Do
listen.
you have any sense of talking?
As I said, and everyone listened, once I have put forth my arguments, I will open the floor to questions. Brother, my brother, come close to me.
Okay, I'll get you.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to demonstrate and show patience. Patience is something that Allah wants us. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Allah tells us that it is important to demonstrate this tawasaw of patience and truth. So, as I mentioned earlier,
So Allah says,
once
kill Jews
I have
and
given
wherever you find
the
them,
three
what
arguments,
patience you have.
I will open the floor
Quran has.
to the
The
people
patient Quran has.
to
Kill Jews and Christians
ask
wherever you find them.
questions
Surah 9 verse
or
9.
even engage
Surah
with
9 verse
the
9
arguments that I've laid forward.
clearly says that kill Jews
My brother,
and Christians
where is your
wherever
patience?
you find them.
I am requesting all my Muslim brothers and sisters to do not engage with this heckler, because the
Oh,
heckler
you engage
already
with a liar.
is being
You
demonstrated
engage
to
with
be
this liar.
an individual who doesn't care
Who is
to engage in
by saying
a civilized
there is
manner.
God. There is
So-
God in the Quran. No.
So the
there is no
argument that I
God in the
presented
Quran.
is
There
this.
Allah. And that Allah is a pagan.
One, if they are doubtful,
That Allah is pagan.
brother, subhanallah, patience. Now, this is a test for all our Muslim brothers and sisters. See how you can remain patient without engaging with the heckler, right? Jazakumullahu khairan. So the argument of the Quran is this about the falsification test. If people are doubtful, like this heckler is, that the Quran is not from
come
God,
to the people of the book.
what
If you are
they have to do is quite
if you
simple.
Muslim are
They have to
come to
produce
Bible.
a chapter
Come to
like
understanding.
the Quran.
We will
So
teach
we are now saying,
true God is. We
Brother,
will teach you who
we are now
God is.
saying,
The Muslim have wrong God.
our critics of Islam,
Wrong Allah, in fact.
have our critics of Islam, can you move away from my camera? Thank you very much. Have our critics
So my friend, you have a
come up
wrong
with,
Allah
stay there brother,
as your God. Tell him, you tell him.
have our critics managed to produce a chapter like in the Quran? They had more than 1400 years to do that.
Oh, chapter of the
So-
Quran is full of satanic verses. Quran is full of satanic verses.
Then you should be able to imitate it, right? If you are able to imitate
Chapter like
anything that's what you say,
a chapter like
why is it that you have failed
Satan brought
miserably
Satan brought
to produce a chapter like unto the Quran?
Satan
So
brought
now,
chapter of Quran,
History
let alone the human being.
testifies
Let alone the
That
human being. Satan is the one.
the Quran
53,
claimed
Surah 53.
that the Quran is
mentioned
inimitable.
in the Quran. Surah
1440 something
It
years.
is the satanic verse.
And yet, people have realized it is beyond the capacity of humans and the jinns to produce something like the Quran, whether it be whole of a book, 10 chapters like it, or even a single chapter.
Satan,
So
Satan
since-
has brought that Quran.
Since
Satan has
the critics of Islam,
verses in the Quran.
instead of
And Muhammad
bringing a chapter like the Quran,
didn't find out
they even went to wars and fight the Muslims.
why Allah is abrogating
Demonstrate
verses.
that it is beyond their capacity to
Why
produce
Allah has
something
to
like it.
abrogate
So
them?
that was number one falsification test. Now we move to number two falsification test. The Quran says, لو كان فيهما, continue and finish the verse. You haven't got a clue.
Why should
Now,
I be learning
The Quran says,
Bedouin language?
Bedouin language.
Bedouin
The Quran
language, why
says,
should I be learning that?
وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا
Then far better.
لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا.
Better language.
Had the
Bedouin
Quran,
language.
patient brother, had the Quran been from any other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Ah,
they would have found therein
lot of-
many discrepancies,
yes.
inconsistencies and contradictions.
Even
For the last
there is a difference between
1,500
creation,
years,
Quran. Different
Quran has been
date,
challenging
different
people
time and different things.
to find
So Quran
examples
has a
of inconsistencies in the Quran.
Quran has a contradiction in that.
So now,
You are denying here,
having failed
deceiving
again
people.
to bring any contradictions and inconsistency in a book spanning
Quran clearly says
over 23 years in its
Allah
delivery,
forgot the
talking about science,
Allah forgot the creation.
history,
In one chapter, Allah says,
talking about
Allah says,
human nature,
creation was done
talking
on
about
earth, then heaven.
the events to happen in the future,
Allah says,
talking
heaven
about
first, then earth.
historical
Which is
information, talking
Which is
about
true in the
economics,
Quran.
sociology,
true in the Quran.
anthropology, biology.
Come on.
If a
Don't
book
deceive people by
talks
saying
about
Quran is the
all of
word
these
of
avenues
true
of
God. No,
human knowledge,
it can be
and yet
word of Satan.
it is
Yes.
internally
You
coherent and
I
consistent,
also believe that these are the words
without
of Satan.
any inconsistencies,
Word of true God.
without any contradictions. So if a book which talks about science 1400 years ago,
Oh,
you would
science.
expect
Which
that book to make mistakes in science, wouldn't it? Because science
know how the baby
1400 years ago
Allah
wasn't
knows
as developed
how the baby
as today.
is made in the Quran.
People thought the earth was flat.
Allah has no
People
clue.
thought many things. Like the Christians,
Allah
like the
says
heckler,
the woman
believes
is testicle.
the world is 6,000 years
Allah
old.
says the
But
woman
now with the
testicle,
advent
their breasts are
of
testicle.
our knowledge
That is Allah saying.
in science
Come on.
and technology,
That is,
we know
that is what Allah
that
says.
this is not
The
true.
woman has
Our earth is
testicle
more
of
than
breast.
6,000 years
That is Allah.
old.
Allah's science.
So when the
That is
Quran
Allah's science.
gives you information, now I am going to
How
give
can
you
Allah be a true
two
God
examples
when Allah is saying
from
that
scientific
a man
phenomena
has a
for you to
thumb in
reflect
the
on
backbone
how
and a backbone of man.
this information could not have been
You all
known,
being, you all men,
could not have been known to people back then. Brother,
do you have
do not
do you
interrupt.
have backbone or
Right.
testes?
The two examples that I'm going to give,
Do you
number
have
one,
backbone or testes?
the Quran says
Your Quran
in the
says
same
that
chapter
your backbone
that he's alluding
is
to,
testes.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim,
That your
والسماء والطارق,
Allah is completely
by the
wrong for
heavens
that. Allah
and
is
by this
completely wrong for
hammering sound,
Science him.
Tariq.
Allah says that
وما أدراك ما الطارق.
pool water.
What would you say what a tariq is?
That is wrong according to Quran.
النجم الثاقب. This is a bright,
Science, it is
piercing star.
sunset
So
in
a
the middle
tariq,
of
the
water.
Quran introduced
That is wrong.
1400 years ago. Brother,
Brother,
please. Leave the heckler, thank you. Be patient.
Come on, you sit back.
This bright and piercing star called At-Tariq is described as something like hammering. Guess what? We know of stars today and we've heard their sounds.
And those stars are
Their sounds we've heard
to throw
was the sounds of
Satan
hammering. Tick, 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 tick,
and
tick,
to
tick,
kick
tick.
it out from heaven. those stars are
sound
meant for that.
was impossible
Those
for
stars
a
are meant for
14th
that.
century
So Allah
scientist
is,
of that time
those stars
to know
and
this.
hitting the Satan. To
So
take it
this
back.
heckler should know very well
So your Allah is
information
talking in
like
the Quran.
this to
So
shut
your
his
Allah is
face.
saying in the
Why?
Quran that
Because
you have,
such information we
you
discovered
have stars.
only in today's
Allah is throwing
knowledge.
those stars to Satan.
this century. There are stars that we can listen to this kind of hammering sound.
Is that anyway science?
There was no
it's
technological
not.
tool
Science is
1400 years ago
So Allah
that can pick up the sounds and even know that those stars have this kind of sound. That was my number one example.
That Allah
How the Quran gives you natural phenomena for you to think and reflect and bring some inconsistency within it. Number two example, the Quran describes in a very deep ocean, Bahrul Lujji, in a very deep sea ocean, not in shallow seas, not in seas which we, not shallow. Within those seas, the Quran says,
So still he don't know
there are,
that sea is smaller than a sun. Sea is far
that there are,
smaller than a sun. He is even,
Thank you.
even earth, my friend.
thank you.
Even earth is smaller than sun. Earth is smaller than sun. And he is saying that
I appreciate what you've just done. Thank you.
Milky pool of water.
So now, the Quran says,
Come on,
the Quran talks about
sensible.
in very deep oceans,
Be sensible.
there are layers of darknesses, and at the end of that layer is total darkness. That's point number one. And the final point on this is that there are interoceanic waves within deep seas. We are not talking about surface waves. Those who have gone into the seas and oceans, who have gone into surfing, you know the waves. If you've gone to a beach, you have seen the waves of the seas coming to the shore. That's the surface wave. But perhaps you didn't realize that in deep oceans internally, further down the seas, there are these deep sea currents. They are like waves within the deep oceans. This you cannot see by simply diving, because there's a limitation of how much you can dive with human without any gear. We are talking about information in the Quran 1400 years ago and more. They did not have oxygen cylinders. You couldn't go beyond 100 meters or 200 meters, right? Because we know beyond, not even 20, 30, 40 meters, beyond 200 meters or so, if I'm not mistaken, it's total darkness. The amount of pressure that builds up and so on. But even beneath this, there are these deep sea currents. Now, how did we know there are interoceanic waves? Through satellites. If you go up in the atmosphere with your satellite, you can see them. That is the technology that is required to see interoceanic waves. So when the Quran tells you to reflect on this book, if it wasn't from God, where is the Quran coming from with this information? So, these interoceanic waves is an example for you to reflect that this information is something that comes not from other than the creator of the heavens and the earth, as the book says so. So the argument number two that I presented of the falsification test was that you cannot find any inconsistencies. He brought up certain contradictions. Do you know why it is not possible to engage with him? If there was someone else other than this heckler,
Don't give him a chance.
please, let him talk. Heckler, that's his job to heckle. If people have these kind of criticisms, I'm more than willing to engage with you, but only on a level of intellectual discussion, where we respect each other, hear each other, give time to each other to listen and understand our viewpoints.
else is no one else is.
And it is not possible.
Only this Muslim is the encyclopedia of this world.
Shall I give him the mic?
So
Do you want to come to my ladder? Come on.
Look at.
Go ahead. Go on my ladder. Go ahead.
Look at this.
Get on the ladder,
Look
please.
at this encyclopedia.
Get on the ladder.
Who has no answer?
I'm offering him my
No answer
microphone.
for this.
I'm offering my ladder.
Don't have
Take it.
answer for this.
Take it and get
Come
up.
on. Come on.
Okay, I'm going to ask him thrice. Once.
I don't
Please,
I
get
don't
up on the ladder and
need-
talk.
No, I don't need.
That's the one. Once.
I don't need to
Second
be,
time.
I don't
Please.
need to be popular in
Please
cameras.
speak.
No, I don't need to be. I don't need.
Third time. Please
It's you.
take the ladder and talk.
It's you, Muslim.
What's your point, Arno?
Right. So,
It is very
Bismillah,
clear
brother.
that no science has ever invented by Muslim. No science. No science. Nothing has ever invented by Muslim. No.
Literally.
Even your this mobile, even this is not invented by Muslim.
Who was it invented by?
Let alone.
Oh, yes. Good, very good question.
Let alone.
Who was it invented by?
Yes.
Who was it invented by?
Let alone.
Come on, hurry up!
Let alone the
was
things
invented
of
by?
ocean.
You're boring me.
Even these small things are not invented by Muslims.
They were invented
No.
by Samsung.
Muslims are failed.
Samsung is God.
Muslims are failed in this world.
All right, shall we continue?
That was enjoyable.
Thank you.
They
Thank you.
only
I appreciate the humor.